Welcome back to this new inspirational video. Today I wanted to narrate the information concerning getting results by prayer, written by Emmet Fox. So let's begin. A great deal of confusion seems to exist in many minds concerning the precise avenue through which the divine power is to be approached, and realization and harmony attained. So many schools of thought seem to be competing for the attention of the student. So busy is the printing press. So many new books and pamphlets are written, so many magazines come and go, that people have told me they have felt quite in despair of ever discovering what it really is that they must do to be saved. Sometimes it seems as though the story of Babel were repeating itself in the metaphysical movement, and yet we all know in our hearts that the true gate is narrow and the real way straight. One well-known Eastern teacher of great spiritual power has actually published a pamphlet from which it appears that the genuine criterion of authenticity is to have no path at all. This is the reductio ad absurdum, which pulls us up short and restores the light. The truth, of course, is this, that the only solution of the problem is definitely to contact the divine power which dwells within your own soul, and having consciously done that, to bring it to bear upon the various difficulties in your life, taking them in due order, that is, attacking the most urgent first. This is the right way of working, and is the only way that can possibly help you, or your affairs in the long run. The real remedy for every one of your difficulties is, as we are told on every page of the Bible, to find and know the indwelling presence. Acquaint now thyself with him, and be at peace. In his presence is fullness of joy. Behold, I am with you always. This then is the task, and the only one, to find and consciously know your own indwelling Lord. You see now how the confusion disappears, melts away, and the perfect simplicity of the whole thing emerges once you realize this fact. From this it is necessarily follows that all schools and churches, all teachers under whatever name they may be called, all textbooks, magazines, pamphlets and whatnot, are but temporary expedients for enabling you to make this contact. In themselves they are of no importance except as means to an end. The best mode of approach to divine things for you is the one that happens to make it easiest for you to locate the inner light within yourself. Such things as temperament, education, family tradition and so on will make one book or one teacher or one school more useful than another, but never as anything more than the means to a certain end. And that end is effective self-discovery. Man, know thyself, thy true self, which is the divine I am. And so we see that the best movement, the finest textbook, the greatest teacher, is just the one that happens best to fit the individual need. It is entirely a practical matter, and the only test that ever could or ever will be of any use is the practical one of judgment by results. Of course, Jesus anticipated this difficulty and met it, as he has met all of our difficulties. He gave us the simple and perfect standard. By their fruits you shall know them. The great peril to true religion has always been the building up of vested interests in wealthy organizations, or in the exploitation by individuals of their own personalities. An organized church is always in danger of developing into an industry which has to provide a living for numerous officials. When this happens, the rank and file are sure to severely discouraged from seeking spiritual things for themselves at first hand. A tradition of loyalty to the organization is built up as a means of self-protection, not loyalty to truth or to your own soul, but to the machine. Thus the means becomes an end in itself and spiritual power then fades out. Rash promises and vague claims take the place of real verifiable demonstrations. In the case of leaders who exploit their own personalities, the student is discouraged from going elsewhere for enlightenment of help. And here again, loyalty to something other than God is allowed to block the avenue of truth, and therefore becomes anti-Christ. What is this but the jealousy of the petty tradesman who warns a doubtful customer of the danger he runs in going to the shop next door? Remember that you absolutely owe no loyalty whatever to anything or anyone but your own soul, and to the furtherance of its spiritual development. Your most solemn duty is to make everything secondary to that. To thine own self be true, and it must follow as the night the day. Thou canst not then be false to any man. Shakespeare. The first step that the earnest student must take is to settle on a definite method of working, selecting whichever one seems to suit them best, and then give it a fair trial. That means that you must acquire a definite method or system of spiritual treatment or scientific prayer. Merely reading books, making good resolutions, or talking plausibly about the thing will get you nowhere. Get a definite method of working, practice it consciously every day, and stick to one method long enough to give it a fair chance. You would not expect to play violin after 2 or 3 attempts, or to drive a car without a little preliminary practice. Having got your method, set to work definitely on some concrete problem in your life, choosing preferably whichever is causing you the most trouble at the moment, or better still, whatever it is that you are most afraid of. Work at it steadily, and if nothing has happened, if no improvement at all shows itself within, say, a couple of weeks at the outside, then try it on another problem. If you still get no result, then scrap the method and adopt a new one. Remember, there is a way out, that is certain as the rising of the sun. The problem really is not getting rid of your difficulties, but finding your own best method for doing so. If ill health is your difficulty, do not rest until you have brought about at least one bodily healing. There is no malady that has not been healed by someone at some time, and what others have done you can do, for God is principle, and principle changes not. If poverty is the trouble, go to work on that, and clear it up once and for all. It can be done. It has been done, others have done it, and you can too. If you are unhappy, dissatisfied with your lot or your surroundings, above all with yourself, set to work on that. Refuse to take no for an answer, and insist upon the happiness and satisfaction that are yours by divine right. If your need is self-expression, artistic, literary, or otherwise, if your heart's desire is to attain to eminence in a profession or some kind of public career, that too, approached in the right spirit, is a legitimate and worthy object, and the right method of scientific prayer will bring you the prize. Keep a record of your results, and on no account be satisfied with anything less than success. Above all things, avoid the deadly error of making excuses. There are no excuses for failing to demonstrate. When you do not demonstrate, it never by any means anything except that you have not worked in the right way. Excuses are the true and veritable devil, who comes to tempt you to remain outside the kingdom of heaven, while the gate stands open. Excuses, in fact, are the only enemy that you really need to fear. Find that method that suits you. Cultivate simplicity. Simplicity and spontaneity are the secret of effective prayer. Work away steadily. Keep your own counsel. And whatsoever you shall ask in my name, that will I do. And that was the end of this chapter. Another beautiful reminder of this power of prayer, don't you think so? Because prayer ultimately means allowing the Spirit of God to move with and through you, the spirit of an idea. So if we pray for health, we have to let the Spirit of health move with and through us. If we pray for wealth, we have to let riches move with and through us. At first, this stuff all sounds kind of bizarre and like, how could that ever do anything good for us? Because we want to see results, we're impatient, we want to see it right away. Well, technically, spiritually speaking, you could experience the fulfillment of your own prayers inwardly right away. The joy, the happiness, all the good energetic elements of the fulfilling of your own prayer are available to you inside of your consciousness. And that is actually the most important part, to reach that state of mind, so that then you're connected to it, so to speak. You're like connected to the energy and the spirit of your own prayer work that can then unleash itself with and through you. It can move with and through you into time-space reality and start shifting things around for you. That is the real power of prayer, and that is how you end up getting results. But again, it is true that we have to find a method that works best for us, instead of going all over the place. And it's something that I am very careful with, is that even though I study a lot of metaphysical teachings, I openly, read about it for myself, I contemplate it for myself, I do know I should always be careful not to work with a dozen of different activities and approaches to this unity we seek with the Spirit of God, because there's so many books indeed still to this day written about it, explaining us about the power of the soul and the mind, and all sorts of different words and ideas and approaches that if you don't watch out, you're going to go all over the place and it gets only more and more confusing. So we want to keep things very simplistic to ourselves, where we learned how to work with our own mind, then do so. Then keep doing it. Even though there are new books coming out, perhaps better methods supposedly out there, if the method you are using is working for you, and that is all there is to it. We gotta find that method for ourselves. And it is ultimately very, very simple. The most useful approach I found was both in Emmet Fox and Ranil Gort's teachings. By combining this word imagination, it really opened, the door of wisdom to a deeper level for me. It made so much more sense how to apply these teachings when I also keep in mind this power of imagination that is highly spiritual and invisible. It actually gives you first-hand experience with this ability to contact universal divine powers, one could say. And the more you experience it for yourself, the easier it becomes and the more confident you become in your ability to get results by prayer. You see, we start out perhaps with ignorance and therefore we're not confident enough. But you too can succeed and do wonderful things for your life by using the power of prayer in the right way. By their fruits you shall know them is a great saying that allows us to also look at our own lives more effectively. We look at the results just the way we are and we see what we have been praying for. If things are not to our liking, it means that we have not been praying in the right direction, or else they would be moving in a way that we would like. So for me, I can measure indeed by the results what I'm doing with my own mind. And as long as YouTube is still active for me in my world, it means I'm working with this inside my consciousness. I have evidence of this as well. If I were to drop YouTube from my consciousness, it would mean no more videos would ever occur on this channel, and you might wonder what happened, where did he go? I simply left. It's because I'm no longer allowing the spirit, in this case, of making videos to move with and through me, and therefore you can do the same. You can literally learn to objectively look at your life and then honestly and critically say, is this really what I wanted? If not, then I must be praying in the wrong way, because we're already praying. It's just that we have a lot of misconceptions about what prayer really is about. It's not just sitting on your knees and then folding your hands and being like, oh God, please help me. That's not really prayer. That is how we look at it usually, and most people do. But real prayer means, again, allowing the spirit of an idea of your prayer work to move with and through you, so it alters your life. It alters time, space, reality as it is. Really think about it. It can do wonders in your life. Now, if you're new to this channel, consider subscribing to receive inspirational videos on a regular basis. And with that being said, dear viewer, never forget that we are the dreamers.